Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Feeding the Soul podcast. Today's guest is a chef who, I don't know how to put this, sort of had an instrumental part in starting my love of Sonoma County region and specifically Healdsburg. And we'll get specific to that story a little bit later. But please welcome Chef Dustin Valette. Thank you for joining us.
Oh man, thank you so much. So excited to be here. I'm coming to you live downstairs in my cellar. This is a big basement under my house. And I love your background. You have the Valette restaurant in your background. I got my personal house in my background. This is real and authentic. I love it.
I was about to say before we started, because I didn't know what your background was going to be, that I had the better background because I absolutely adore your restaurant. But now,
Oh, come on. Look at this.
the
We
fact
got
that
the
you have
prosciuttos
prosciutto in
down
your
here.
basement.
Prosciuttos. We have our big bourbon cellar, big bourbon wall right there. Oh man, we don't mess around. This is live and authentic, man. This is where it all started.
I don't know how you leave the house if that's your basement. Like I would just never leave.
I know, right?
Just have water
That's
shipped
it.
in. That's never leave.
Why do
Well,
you think I'm
thank
here
you
right
for.
now? Exactly. Like a podcast? Yes, we'll do it. We'll do it live in my cellar. Hold on. I'm gonna grab a bottle of wine. I'll be right back. And you keep playing around. It's the best part.
Please do feel free to drink. This is a 21 and over. You can curse. You can drink whatever you want to do.
Oh, God, I
Um,
love it. I appreciate you finally give me like the authentic me my authentic self. I love it.
so speaking of that, we ran into each other few years ago now at Healdsburg Food and Wine, and we were at your
Yep.
restaurant, Matheson, and it was our first festival up there, and it was just we had a blast, blowing our mind. And you were walking by, and I was like, "Hey, chef, real quick, mind if we get a selfie with you?" And your answer was the best answer anyone's ever given to that question. Two words.
Let me
Fuck
guess.
yes.
Fuck yeah.
It was fuck yes.
Fuck yes.
And Margaret and I looked at each other like, "This is awesome."
I love it. Oh, that's
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 that kind of
that's who I am.
enthusiasm, man. So
Exactly.
for those who are watching who have never met you, never been to one of your restaurants, um, give us the Dustin from just deciding I want to get into culinary and be a chef, fast forwarding to today, and I know that could take like 8 hours, but if you give us like 2, 3 minutes, like quick version.
I love it. Well, first off, you haven't been to my restaurant. Come on, you got to take a field trip up here to Healdsburg. We're located right here in the heart of Sonoma County in Healdsburg. There's two big wine regions. There's Napa and there's Sonoma. Napa, amazing. We love them over there. It's the best Cabernet, amazing Chardonnay. But really, dude, Sonoma County, Russian River, where we are right here at Healdsburg, this area is blowing up. And it's not just because of amazing wines, it's because of the people, it's because of the community. It's really because of what makes this area so special. People are discovering us right now. People are coming up here like you for the first time. All of a sudden you're like, hold on, you can fly to Santa Rosa Airport, which has like I think 20 different connectors now, right? So you can fly to Santa Rosa Airport. You don't have to drive the hour and a half through traffic. You can fly right in. You're in Phillipsburg within 5 minutes. This is the absolute best part here. And we have been undiscovered. We're being discovered right now. So love to have you guys here. And I'll give you a little background on myself. So I'm born and raised here. This is my hometown. I was born a whopping mile and a half from here at Healdsburg Memorial Hospital. And I grew up in a very French family. I grew up in a family that my dad, he was a tanker pilot. He drops a retardant on fires. My mom was a pilot for Reach Metaplane, which is the air ambulance service. And I grew up in a family that no matter what, every night we have dinner together. Now, that dinner was always a little different, right? It wasn't your traditional hamburger, right? French family, you're eating dinner at 9 o'clock at night. You're having estouffades, braises, civets. You're having classic, bourguignon. You walk in the house and you're just like, oh, the perfume of short ribs just braised in the oven, knowing that in a short 8 hours, you'd have dinner. It was so much fun. Loved the family. And that's where I grew up. So I really got immersed in food at a very young age. For myself, I started culinary professionally at 13 years old and just absolutely fell in love with the craft. I since then graduated high school early. I was able to work in New York, CIA, went from Healdsburg to New York, CIA. I was able to work cool chefs from Gary Dinkel's old restaurant, Chateau Souverain. I worked for Thomas Keller at the Bouchon. I worked for Laurent Manrique at Aqua, Michael Mina. I worked for Wayne Hirabashi out in Hawaii. Worked for Charlie Palmer in Healdsburg. I mean, my travels took me everywhere from Italy, France, LA, Vegas, Hawaii, Napa. But 17 years ago, came back home, got married, brought my brought my craft back here to my town. When we came back here, this town was still is tiny. We're a town of 9,000. I think now we're about 10,000, but we're a small little town and we're making waves. I mean, you sit back and you look at the people around us. Charlie Palmer is here. Um, Doug Keane, right? Cyrus, right? Michelin restaurants here. Farmhouse Michelin restaurant. Kyle, right? My neighbor, literally 50 feet across from me is a Michelin 3-star. I mean, what Healdsburg is, I think, is what Yountville was 15, 20 years ago. It is absolutely changing. This Healdsburg is blowing up from not only a culinary standpoint, but really from just a sense of authenticity of food and wine, a sense of people excited to come out here and show their craft, from artisans to craft makers to farmers and ranchers and fishmongers. This is really a culinary just uh, Eden. I mean, I don't know what to say. I mean, everywhere
No,
you
that's
go,
the best term you can think of. It really is.
it really is. And not only that, but you have all these chefs that are passionate. I mean, you see chefs all the time. I talk to Kyle all the time. I talk to Doug all the time. I talk to Charlie all the time. Like, we're all here. Mark Stark has like 7 restaurants now. Like all these guys are all together to showcase what makes Sonoma County so special, what makes Healdsburg so special, why we're so excited to welcome so many people to our community in our area, and really just tell the story of the small little wine country town that was founded by immigrants coming from Italy and France, and they wanted a different life. They wanted to recreate the European style, European way of, big lunches and a glass of wine at lunch, and, just a passion for artisan craft making, and really just a passion for our community and telling the story of who we are. How's that? Is
So
that 45 seconds? Done. Easy. In,
I
out,
I,
done.
I
Guys,
stopped
my
the
name's
clock
Dustin
because
Blett. It was good talking to you. My name's Dustin Blett. All right, that's it. Mike, drop them
just
out here.
drop the
All
mic.
right,
There
see you
it
guys
is.
later. Yep, sounds great. All right.
And for our next 5-minute interview,
I'll bring my wine.
oh, there it is. Oh, we're gonna get to that too.
I
So
love it.
the whirlwind of things you just mentioned, a couple things stood out. Number one, you said what really makes it special in that area is the people,
100%.
which is actually what inspired this whole podcast, was traveling up to Sonoma County. And every time we go up there, yeah, we had great wine. Duh. Yeah, we had great food, like at this restaurant. But you can have great wine and great food in many places. But when every time we go to Sonoma, we were meeting not just the nicest people, down to earth people, but generous. Like, it was incredible how many things from uh the people at your rest. Every time I go to your restaurant, it's like you get treated like VIP. Domenica up in Geyserville, same kind of thing. Up at
Kelly's. Yep.
Catelli's. Crystal, like everywhere you go, you tiny little towns, like you get treated. You look around, you're like, are they mistaking me for some sort of celebrity? Because I feel like I've been treated like one. So when he started hearing about all the different charities and things, that's what inspired me. So this whole podcast is basically inspired by the Russian River, Healdsburg area. Second thing,
I love
though,
it.
as an ex-educator, 13, you started at 13. How do you even make that happen?
Literally. All right. So I applied probably 2 or 3 times before I was 13. And back in potentially the early 90s, and kind of old, this is aggressively blonde hair. Um, they told me I'd be 13 to get a work permit. So as soon as I turned 13, literally the day I turned 13, I went into the local restaurant, Catelli's, coincidentally.
Is it
And
really?
I went in there. Yeah, Catelli's. It was the original Catelli's with Domenica's dad and mom. I went in there and I applied. And they said, well, what are you applying for? I'm like, well, executive chef, obviously. I'm 13. Like, I love cooking. I've been cooking in my house forever. Like, obviously, executive chef. I'll never forget Randy, now a friend of mine. Randy looked at me. He's like, "Yeah, Dustin, like that's you're not quite ready to be the executive chef." I'm like, "Why? I make great omelets. I'm a great cook. Like, let me show you how it's done."
Let me
And
show
for some
you
reason,
how
they
it's
didn't
done.
hire me. For some reason, they didn't hire me. But he liked enthusiasm. So he's like, "All right, how's this? When you come back when you're 16, right? And when you're 16, love to have you here. And we'll give you a job when you turn 16." Perfect. Came back the next day, and I'm like, "Hey, I'm here to apply." Filled out the application. I wrote down that I was 16, and I remember him looking at me, Randy, and being like, "You were just here yesterday." I'm like, "No, I'm here. I'm applying. I'm 16." And he's like, "All right, well, I need some kind of documentation. Like, if you're 16, you have a driver's license, obviously." And I was like, "Okay, got it." Came back the third day, and I took my mom's good old fashioned typewriter, right? And I took the little old like blank piece of paper, and I made up some like Dustin Blett has special exemption to work, and I made up some like complete BS on a typewriter. It looked kind of official. And I walked back and gave it to Randy on my third day. And he looked at me. He's like, holds up this blank, obviously completely horrible forgery, right? And it's like, "Sure, go ahead and go be a busboy." So I was hired as a busboy. I did that for about a month and a half. I got promoted to a dishwasher. Very exciting. And then about 2 months into it, they promoted me again to pots and pan washer, which at the ripe age of 13, 13 and a half now, I thought it was the best day of my life. I came home, tell my parents, like, guys, I wash pots and pans now. I finally made it in life. Um, and it was exciting. Pots and pan washer also did a little bit of prep. So I started doing, chopping
Oh,
garlic, started chopping herbs, starting a little bit of prep for the very first time. And that was absolutely a blast, right? Completely loved it. That transpired from that beginning, the humble beginnings, if you will, that transpired into starting to do more prep. At 15, I became an apprenticeship at Chateau Souverain and really started the direction of understanding what fine dining really was. And here we are.
here we are. So all I heard as a teacher was that is a determined young man right there. That they didn't know what you could do, but they knew you came back 3 days in a row and you were going to fudge your way into that kitchen one way or the other. I love that. That's great. You also, lastly, before we get to the actual questions, you mentioned your dad and your mom, right? Both
Ops.
pilots. I actually met your dad last time we were at Valette. We were sitting at the bar, and this gentleman walks up. He's sipping his wine, just walking around, and he starts talking about, "Hey, you've tried this wine?" No, I have no idea who he was. Then the bartender's like, "Oh yeah, that's Dustin's dad." And so we just sipped it, and he's like, "This is exceptional, really." And he goes, "Hold on, I'll be right back." Went out to the car, came back, and brought us a bottle of the family Sangiovese or something like that. Nicest
No,
dude.
that
Like
was
that's that VIP treatment. I'm like, this guy doesn't know who we
no,
are.
it's not. My dad made a mistake. He's supposed to sell it to you. Why was he giving you away the wine? No, man, I got a
I
for
mean,
profit
I mean, they
business.
added
Come
it.
on.
They added it to the check. It was
Okay,
fine.
okay. Okay, good. Now
Yeah.
we're fine. I got scared for a
Everything's
second. I
legal,
was like,
folks. Everything's legal.
Pops. I love it.
Okay, so I want to know. So bringing this whole uh, podcast interview, we learned a little bit about you, but again, the whole point of this podcast is about the giving back that happens up there in Sonoma County. So for you, yes, you have restaurants. You're doing all these different events. We're going to get to the wine in a minute, but what is something that's a cause or a community organization that's really near and dear to your heart?
We support a lot. So I'm very fortunate. I came from a family that was very simple. Both my parents worked, full time. Um, and I was very lucky. We had everything we wanted, we needed. Not everything we wanted, but everything we needed. And I was very, very lucky in my life. We had everything. And I was the first one that had opportunity to go to college. My sister was the very first one that actually went to college. But our family was different because so much of what we realized was not everyone had that same upbringing. Not everyone had that same opportunity to have parents that really cared. And when we get back nonstop. I mean, I just came back, flew home Friday from a charity event. We did a big dinner for 12 out anywhere in the United States. Like, we'll do a dinner for 12 anywhere in the United States. And it sold for 320,000 at a charity
Wow.
auction. And had my wine. Don't worry, I brought my 100-point wines, so totally made sense. It was 100% worth it. But what we do is we really try to get back to education, healthcare, really try to make sure we balance that equation. And the reason that's important to me is so often you see people that have and have nots, right? And our philanthropy is based off of really making sure that every child, every young adult, every person has the same opportunity that everyone else has. I didn't have I never had a new car, right? I never had ability to go to college, get completely paid for, but I had the ability to have parents that cared, parents that took the time to have dinner with us, parents took the time to ask how we're doing, right? Parents
Yeah.
that came
Yeah.
home that weren't, getting blasted drunk on the couch, but actually cared. And that's something that's really near and dear to my heart is that children, they don't have opportunities that adults do. They have to follow the path that parents are leading for them. And for us, we talk about disrupting bad paths, right? We talk about
Mm.
breaking that cycle, the negative cycle, and really inspiring and teaching. We're really involved in Logoski Foundation, really excited in a lot of different elements out there of really being a catalyst for good, a catalyst for change. So
Yeah.
we're kids in Candyland about helping out multiple different charities. I sit on the board for the V Foundation, which is cancer research. Jimmy
Oh, really?
Valvano's cancer research. Cancer affects everyone. My wife, amazing person, had a little hiccup and she beat that. It
Oh,
affected both my grandparents. My mother-in-law, I mean, cancer is a horrific thing. So,
Yeah.
a lot of that is helping those that need help and helping those that can't help themselves.
The V Foundation. That's incredible. That organization, the work that they do.
100% agreed.
Um, so some of the things you named there, we're going to throw them in the credits, put links to them. The goal here is to really get engagement out there. So if you're watching and listening, please click on the links in the credits afterwards. We want to make sure that we get as many faces in front of some of the organizations that we're talking about today. Also, you mentioned the wine. Rumor has it you might have a bottle somewhere around there you can show us.
Oh,
Because,
man,
ladies and gentlemen, it is not every day you get, oh, no, not 98, not 99 points, 100. I'm going to let you talk about it, man. That's some
man,
bragging rights right there.
we are so ecstatic. I mean, the wine brand started right here. This is where all the wine started. These are my original barrels right down there. Those are the original barrels from back in the day. And we started the wine brand here in 2008, and it was 100% done just as a hobby for fun. I moved back, had a restaurant in Vegas, moved back out here. 2008, I crushed a whopping 5 gallons with my big old feet. And 2009, we made a couple of barrels. We grew that through 2016 when we launched the commercial wine brand. And the wine brand started different than most. I knew what I'm good at. I'm wearing a chef coat right now, right? I got prosciutto hanging in the background. I'm a chef. And I wanted to do wines that told the story of Sonoma County. I wanted to do wines that were created not just as, consumer products, but instead to tell the story of the artisans and the craft makers and tell the story of how well food and wine goes together. So the Valette wine brand itself started in 2016 with Bob Cabral, who was the winemaker at Williams Elm, and Jesse Katz, the proprietor of Aperture and Double Proof. He was at Petrus, Screaming Eagle, Lancaster. I mean, Jesse's pedigree is ludicrous. And the brand started in 16 really with the idea of a partnership to not do a white label, but to make wine through the chef's eyes and showcasing the best vineyards, the best winemakers. And that really took off. We got Robert Parker, gave us 93 points right out of the gate. Then we got 95, 97, and now we have back-to-back 100-point wines, which to me is just, it kind of got to fit yourself. And everything, something that started down here making garage wine just for fun with friends of mine is now at a point where not only we are a massive business, or not massive, but a family-sized business, but now we're pulling in the unicorns, right? The back-to-back hundreds. Yeah. I don't think there's a lot of wineries out there. That's what starts that cult status. And to be able to serve it at your background, right? Our restaurants, we have a really fun DTC, direct-to-consumer club. We ship our wine to almost 50 states now. We have a distributor in Florida showcasing our wines out there. But, our wines are at the French Laundry. Our wines are at Cyrus. Our wines are at, all these iconic restaurants. And to be able to tell that story from not just what I do as a chef, but what our partners and what our friends do as just amazing stewards of the land, as winemakers, as viticulturalists. But it's really telling the story of food and wine. It's getting people excited and, telling them, hey, I love bourbon, but you don't need to have a high noon with dinner. Like, get a good Cabernet with that steak. It'll make the Cabernet taste better. It'll make the steak taste better. And, if you're having a beautiful bottle of Pinot, go out there and get some beautiful duck. And, teaching people to take a second. Yesterday, I taught a pasta class in my restaurant. And I love doing pasta because it's fun to teach people, this is just flour and egg and a little bit of water, and you can make something that you can take the squash from your garden. You can go take celery root from your garden. You can go take onions and caramelize them. You can take your leftover. We did yesterday. We taught them to take your leftover little steak trim, right? When you eat your steak,
yeah,
right? We diced up the steak, caramelized onions and mascarpone, and made a little rift off like a cheesesteak pasta, and all these fun things out there. And teach people to get excited about food and wine. Teach people to take that second and cook from home. Teach people to get excited to not stop by the store and get something frozen that's going to last you for 2 weeks, but stop by the store every day. Get vegetables. Support your local farmer. Support this way where we came from, of not preservatives, not ultra processed food, but authentic and real, and just getting people excited about eating, getting people excited about spending time together. I had dinner last night with my kids and, came home and we had a little bit of pasta, my pasta class. So I did a little short rib pasta and vegetables, and, there's no cell phones. We're just sitting there eating dinner together. We're talking about whatever. We had dinner for half hour, and then I went back to run the restaurants, and the kids went off to their paperwork. I'm sorry, their homework. But it's just getting people excited. And I think that's what started the wine brand. That's where we started this, by just telling that story, right? Telling the story of authenticity, telling the story of Healdsburg. Our wine brand is completely blowing up. I mean, we're back-to-back 100-point wines. We have Jesse Cat still makes us the absolute best Cabernet. That's what got our 100-point score.
I was about to ask
We
which
have
one. Yes. Okay.
Yep. We have a 96-point Sauvignon Blanc. We have a 96-point Sauvignon Blanc, which in the world of Sauvignon Blancs is, I think, unheard of. I mean, don't know who gets 96 points.
Yeah.
We have Bob Cabral. That was Sauvignon Blanc. It's crazy.
No.
We have Bob Cabral making us amazing Pinot Noirs. We have Dave Ramey, the iconic, the godfather of Chardonnay, making us Chardonnay. We have Tom Rocchioli, who is just the most epic, astonishing winemaker, great grower. Every top winery you ever think of, from Costa Brown to William Sellum to Gary Farrell, every top winery, he has the most sought after fruit. He makes us a Chardonnay. Michael Brown, the guy that started Costa Brown, who has Cirque and Chev right now, he makes us a Pinot Noir. I mean, we have this iconic group of winemakers that are not just good at their craft, but are the masters. They're the pinnacle. They're the top of the top. It's like when you look at, Joe Montana, one of the best football teams, 49ers. When you have, Joe Montana, you're able to sit back and you're talking about, a person who is the peak of their game, right? And you get to watch that person live. You get to see that person make the catch, right? And
so of all these wines, you mentioned the 100 points. What's the varietal that got the 100-point back to back?
Okay, so our 100-point back-to-back was our Napa Valley Cabernet. It's the only wine we make from Napa. We've had amazing scores, 96 points in the Sauv Blanc, 96 points on our Chardonnay, but our very first 100 came from Jesse Katz is Skellinger, single little vineyard right there in Oakville from Napa. Absolutely stunning wine. The 2021 and 2022 back-to-back vintages. We are beyond enamored.
And people can get that knocking stuff over at this restaurant right here, right? People can get it right here.
You can get it at Valette, right? Healdsburg.com. Yep. You can also go to ValetteWines.com and you can order it. If you're a club member, you can order the Cabernet. Unfortunately, it's reserved just for club exclusive, but email us. We can always get you on the club and get you started with a couple bottles. Unfortunately, there's more demand than we have supply.
Oh, I would imagine.
We have to be kind of judicious on that. Yes, Pierre.
I would imagine.
And my favorite part is we're doing a beautiful single vineyard, $70 for our Sonoma Coast Pinot Noir. We're doing $150 for a Napa Valley 100-point Cabernet, which in the world of wines is outlandishly approachable, right?
So I wasn't even going to ask about pricing because I'm just like, okay, that's way lower than I thought a 100-point wine was going to be.
100-point Napa Valley Cabs, $150, but that's who we are. We're restaurant guys, right? Like just because you get, a James Beard Award, we got Wine Enthusiast Top 100, like doesn't mean you jack up your prices. It means that you get people more excited about coming to your restaurant. As a wine brand, just because we got 100 points doesn't mean you jack up the price. All that means is we say, hey guys, we don't have as much supply, right? But the demand's increased. But that to me is my favorite part is, we take a chef's approach. We take a culinary approach to this, take a hospitality approach to this. We say, make the best wines you can and showcase the best wines you can. Don't take advantage of the situation. We have a Sauvignon Blanc, 96-point Sauvignon Blanc. It's $38. I mean, like that to me is my favorite part is make wines that are approachable, not only to consume, but also that we can make it not a celebratory wine. Pop a cork, it's $40 for a bottle of Sauv Blanc, 38. I mean, that's ridiculous.
Yeah, getting 100 points is incredible, but I think the most surprising is a Sauv Blanc that got 90, would you say 90?
96 points on a Sauvignon Blanc.
Sauvignon Blanc.
Isn't that crazy?
For non-wine people, you're like, what are they even talking about? For people who understand wine, like that is a little bit surprising. That's incredible.
That's like getting Michelin 2-star at a taco truck. You're like, all right, we got a taco truck. We serve tacos, they're delicious, but we got Michelin 2-star. Paper plates are fantastic. I mean, to pull in a 96 points on the Sauv Blanc is ridiculous.
That's a whole different episode about the most incredible taco trucks, but that's a whole nother hour right there.
I love it. Field trip. Here we go.
Challenge accepted. Let's jump into the lightning round.
All right. Bring it. Lightning round. Here we go.
5 questions. I don't want you to think about them. Just like those ink blot tests. I say it, you blurt something out.
Sunday.
Sweet or savory?
Savory.
I love that. Didn't think about it at all. Good man.
Absolutely.
So next question is last great. Oh, and you can't say your own place. This is the only rule.
Yep.
Last great meal you had, and where was it?
The best we ever had, maybe last also, was at Trago in France, a Michelin three
Oh,
star, the oldest Michelin three-star ever in France, I think in the world. Trago Brothers, absolutely astonishing. It was during truffle season, and it was a truffle and pheasant torchon that had big cubes of truffles in there that they poached off first in a pheasant stock, and then they put it inside this torchon with pheasant, and a little pheasant confit on there, celery and mousseline. It was one of my favorite bites I've ever had, and when you took that first bite, it just popped not only truffles, but pheasant. And I can't shake that flavor out of my head.
how long ago did you go do this? This recently?
That was, no, that was 17 years ago.
Oh, okay, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're going truffle hunting this summer. I've never, I in Piedmont. I cannot wait.
I got our very first, I'm sorry, our second ever Sonoma County truffle. I found right here in Geyserville, which is 10 minutes up the street. Small little place, little farm, raises truffles. They had one 3 years ago. Last year, we're out there with the dogs. Dog stops, starts smelling. I'm like a little kid. I'm there, digging around with my hands, pulling out this big old truffle. I think it was a freaking
Oh,
softball.
huge.
And in Geyserville, second one they've ever had in Geyserville. The Jackson family has an amazing job getting truffles, but for this, I mean, the town I was
How
raised
much
in,
fun
just astonishing. Yeah,
for a
I'll send
chef.
you pictures.
It probably
So much
glowed in your
fun.
hand.
Oh, I'll send you pictures. I was a little child. We'll put
Oh,
those
I
up in the
love it.
podcast. I was a little kid. I was like, oh, this is the truffle. God, I was
That's
so excited.
awesome. All right, one kitchen tool you cannot live without.
Chef's knife.
Okay, specifically your favorite chef, like your baby. What is it?
Oh, I have a Corin chef's knife, which is a partnership with Corin and Neox. That was a handmade by a very famous, I don't know his name, Japanese knife maker. That I bought in 2000, forever. God, how long ago was this? 2001. I bought it.
Mm.
At the time was almost like $600 at the time. And it is my one chef's knife I use to this day that I have inside my knife roll right now. The blade's a little smaller now. Used to be a 9 chef's knife. Now it's a little bit smaller. It's not quite a paring knife, but that knife has broken down everything from a chiffonade of cilantro to break down whole pigs. It is my favorite knife. It is the most important tool I have. If you take knives out of the equation, a spoon, a good silver spoon. I have the same one that Thomas Keller gave me when I used to work with him. I
Oh,
use that
wow.
spoon religiously. And it is probably the most important tools you have in the kitchen as a chef. Your chef's knife is your number one thing. The second is a spoon. From basting to aerosane to tasting to every single component of that, it is one of the most important tools you can use.
I don't, my wife is the chef. I do dishes and keep her wine full, but I've heard
I
that the
love it.
most important thing you can do when you're in the kitchen is taste, taste, and taste again. Like constantly be
Absolutely.
tasting.
It's why I'm
Yeah.
so skinny.
Me too. Dude, look at me.
I'm I'm borderline anorexic, honestly.
Thank God
Borderline.
Margaret cooks healthy. Otherwise, I'd be 900 pounds. Um, so this is your home fridge, not your restaurant fridge. What is always in your fridge?
Oh man, butter, eggs, the staples, right? Good French cheese at all times, right? If you come home and you're hungry, you can make a beautiful omelet, right? I always have eggs, butter, and cheese in my fridge at all times. And that could be a late night snack at 1 o'clock at night, coming home from a long day at work. That could be 6 o'clock in the morning, making breakfast for the kids. There's nothing better. Light, fluffy, beautiful omelet, just a light little poach off and cooked in butter. Nice little bit of stinky cheese in there, a little more BA. God, I'm hungry. Can we
It,
wrap up this
in
podcast?
case
I'm going to go upstairs and cook. I'm hungry.
I know I didn't yet. In case anyone wondered if you really were French or not, that answer I think kind of summed it up. Butter,
I know,
eggs, and
right?
cheese in that order, and then stinky cheese, not just regular cheese.
It's stinky
Stinky
cheese.
cheese.
No, come
Yeah.
on. You got to have that. Yeah, I mean, like cheddar. I don't think we have cheddar in our house. We have my kids, you give them a piece of cheddar cheese and they're like, well, what is this, Dad? They love goat cheese. They love, like I said, like cool things. They love like Humboldt Fog. Daughters love Humboldt Fog. They love truffle tremor, right? The truffle cheese. My little kids eat more cheese than they should. Like they're gonna have like problems when they get older because they just like, I love it, Dad. They're eating this stinky Roquefort and they're like, this is great on toast.
Oh, they're not going to
Ugh,
have problems. They're being raised correctly. That's exactly what they should be doing.
I,
Yeah. I
I
want to sit
agree.
down
I
with a
agree.
nice blue when I'm watching cartoons. Dang it.
Seriously, yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Stilton and Stilton and Bluey. Come on, everyone knows that. Blue cheese and Bluey. It's a combination.
Oh, combo meal. Okay.
Exactly.
Last question of the day.
All
This
right,
one is
last
not
one.
very lighthearted. This one's a little deeper, so you can think about this one.
Serious.
If you could share, yeah, there you go. If you could share a bottle of wine with anybody, living or past, who would it be, and what varietal would it be?
Hmm. It would be a Pinot Noir with Paul Bocuse. I
Talk to
think
us about it.
Bocuse. Yeah, I think I was at Bocuse. I was there when I was going through Europe. Um, you know, Escoffier, I don't know that well. I read all his books, of course. Escoffier, I think, is a godfather of what we have. It's a hard one, but Bocuse, has Bocuse really, I think, got people excited about culinary, right? You have what Emeril Lagasse did. He's a dear friend. What Emeril did completely got us on TV. It got us out of the kitchens.
Mhm.
But, Escoffier was the first one to really get people excited about the art of cooking. Bocuse is one of the first to me, one of the first people that you can actually like, just kind of know, right? And get excited about and kind of understand his style, what he did for cooking and his tenacity, and a Pinot Noir because when you're over there in Lyon, like that's what you want to have. You want to have Pinot Noir, that sauerkraut, Pinot Noir, those big sausages, that roasted chicken stuff with truffles coming out of the oven.
Mm.
That just to me screams a nice, beautiful burgundy Pinot Noir, right? And have that with again, that truffle crusted roasted chicken he does. Um, I think Bocuse is good. Escoffier, I read all his books. They have most of those recipes memorized, but don't know him that well. But Bocuse to me is a legend, and I would love to sit back and drink a bottle of wine with him and just understand his psyche.
That's fantastic. Like, I'm going to put a warning at the beginning of this episode. Please do not watch this if you're hungry. The
I know,
stuff
right?
you've been
Me too. I'm
describing
hungry.
is killing me right now. Just turn
I'm just
around.
gonna.
You got
I'm just gonna grab one. He's like, take like a bite out of the apple.
wine, prosciutto, and just lean back. There you go.
Not a bad life.
Well, Chef, thank you so much for giving us your time today. It was a blast.
Absolutely.
For those of us who go up to Healdsburg all the time and enjoy the town and enjoy the restaurants, your places are sort of a fixture up there. And it's really cool for everyone to
Thank you.
get to meet the guy who is behind the magic that we get to enjoy, whether it's at the festival every year or just going up on a weekend. So I cannot
You
wait
know
to
what?
get back to the restaurant right here.
I love it. Well, I mean, come up, visit us, visit our neighbors. I mean, you got everywhere from a Michelin 3-star restaurant. Kyle is doing amazing things. You got Doug Keane, right? The guy behind Cyrus, Charlie Palmer. I mean, Mark Stark. You have amazing chefs up here, but you also have just true artisans, right? You got people who are passionate. The little, El Sombrero, the little Mexican restaurant across the street, like they just make good food, right? You want to eat their food. We're blessed to have a restaurant that is busy. We're very successful. We're fortunate. We have wine brands that are successful, but come visit us. Come visit our neighbors. And, stop by the Matheson. We have a big 3-story restaurant. We have 100 wines on a cuvee system. You can get 100 different wines you can sample. We're talking DRC, Dominican Conti at $8,000 a bottle. And you can find Sam Lando, right? Small little producer you haven't heard of yet that makes amazing Pinot Noirs right here in Healdsburg. And to me, it's really finding these artisans, finding these craft makers, finding these up and comers or well established people that inspire us to do better, inspire us to push ourselves, makes us work harder. It's, if you only had one great team and then, you wouldn't have other teams out there. So
Woo.
it's so important that you have these not only guiding lights, but you also have these amazing people that are just excited to showcase their craft. And I love Healdsburg. I love our community. I love our town. I love showing us off to people. But come up here, check us out. We got the Matheson.com, ValetteWines.com, ValetteHealdsburg.com, ValetteHospitality.com, something.com. I'm sure I'm missing. But in the meantime, come up here, hang out with us here in Healdsburg, eat some prosciutto, drink some wine with us. Cheers from out here in Healdsburg. Appreciate you having me on your show. Thank you very much. We'll see you soon.
Thank you so much, Chef. Have a great day.
Take care, guys. Ciao.
Thank you so much for tuning in today. Make sure you check out the charity we talked about and don't forget to follow us wherever you find us. YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and Instagram.
Yep.
Hello? Dude, my power went out in my
Yes,
house.
I hear you fine. That sucks.
How's that for timing? Oh, Lord have mercy. Oh, your video's still not. I might have a power failure once or twice a year. It just happens when I'm doing a podcast. That's great.
I love it.